Welcome, everybody. I am so happy to be here today for the Split Pea Soup podcast. I'm here with a very special guest, the lovely Anastasiya Bachmanova. She's a local artist here, and she specializes in beautiful oceanic scenes full of nature inspired by coastal living. And I'm just really honored to have her here today. Just want to let everybody know, a little full disclosure, she is my girlfriend. But that doesn't take anything away from the fact that how talented she is. She deserves to be here either way. So, Anna, thank you so much for coming here. I'm really stoked to have you.
Well, shucks, Neil. It's an honor to be on here with you. And hello, everybody, too. Excited to share a little bit about what I do with you all.
Yeah. So let's just talk about this past weekend. As a professional artist, there's a lot of different ways to make a living, but you are kind of involved in a lot of these outdoor markets and festivals. You want to tell us what you just got done with this last weekend?
As we're recording this, I just finished up with the, West Done celebration down in Sand City. So that's a fun 2-day event. They had like over 150 artists, I think, and different musicians, really good musicians, food and stuff like that. So it's just like a fun, lively atmosphere. And it's a great platform for me, I've found, since beginning my art career, to connect with my customers and share my artwork in a very personal way.
Yeah. What were the most kind of popular offerings that were being purchased by people this weekend?
I just released a new collection of art prints. And these were from my show that I just had, my exhibition at the Pacific Grove Art Center. So I did a whole series of coastal-inspired acrylic paintings. They were all kind of larger scale. So I shrunk them down into print format and cards, and I make a lot of fun little products like that that are accessible to more people without like the high price point of an original painting. So I had all my new prints, and yeah, they were a hit with the customers. So it's always really exciting to see people taking my art home and knowing that it'll be enjoyed in many homes across the area.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. So with something that's a pretty big endeavor, because I was, with you as you were getting ready for that, and 12 original paintings and this was for the Pacific Grove Art Center, right? Is that what it's called?
Mm-hmm, that's right.
And basically you got together. How much time did you give yourself before the lead up of this show to get all those done? Because it was a lot of work.
Yeah, it was a lot of work. It was a journey. But yeah, I would say I was about maybe like a little over a year, or about a year, that I was working on them. And yeah, the way it came to fruition was, I don't know, it's just like the way creativity flows. I had like this little spark of inspiration that I wanted to paint in a larger scale, because I've been kind of doing smaller stuff most of the time over, the last years. But yeah, I was kind of remembering like in this college class I took, a painting class, and how my teacher, she kept pushing me to go bigger. And then I made like this big painting, and she was like, that's not big enough, go bigger. It was like a painting and mural class. So it was kind of directed towards like larger scale work. But I kind of remember that, and remembered the freedom of working on such a large scale. So anyway, I had this little spark of inspiration, and I had this reference image that I took down in Big Sur of the Calla Lily Valley, which is a spot I've been trying to find and get to for like a couple of years. But I finally made it down and found this location. That was my first painting. And then, it was a fun one to work on too, because my daughter helped me start the painting and get kind of like the color blocks in and work on it. And so then after that painting, I saw the call to artists on the Pacific Grove Art Center for exhibitions. And so I thought, well, why don't I just continue with this creative flow, working on a larger scale and capturing these seascapes, landscapes, and just felt really inspired because I yeah, another thing I do is I collect all these reference images everywhere I go because I'm always exploring. So I'd have this folder on my phone of like 200 some photos to paint that I never really get to. So yeah, applying for that and then kind of setting that time slot to have the exhibition, it gave me a reason, I guess, to work on this new series. And so yeah, I spent after I applied for that show and booked it, yeah, about a year ago, maybe last summer. Then I kind of like analyzed the space and saw how many paintings I needed to do, and kind of curated my collection, which images I was going to paint. It kind of evolved on its own throughout the course because I didn't really have a vision for exactly like everything I would paint, but it kind of turned into what it became on its own throughout the creative process. And yeah, I think the majority of the paintings I actually did this year, just because I procrastinated a little bit for over the months last year. And then I was kind of like, well, the show's coming up, so I better get to work. And yeah, kind of got hustling on those paintings most of this year.
Yeah, they're really fabulous pieces of art. What do you think is the hardest part about choosing what images that you've had taken to include into a show like this?
Well, I think I put a little bit of thought into the like cohesiveness of it. Like, will it work as a collection? Because I mean, there's such a variety of scenes and things that I'm inspired by, and even like styles too. So I think that's the hard part for me is staying cohesive. And I think for artists, if you're really making a career out of it, there's a lot of pressure to be consistent in your style and your aesthetic and your subject matter and all of that, because that helps you be recognized for something. Kind of like branding, right? In any business is important. But I think also as artists, like our natural inclination is to be explorers and, explore this different like subject matter, medium, style. So I know like I've talked to a lot of artists that are kind of like to dabble in everything too. So yeah, that's kind of like the balance I try to find where I'm still kind of like exploring and evolving, but staying cohesive at the same time.
Yeah. And speaking about evolving, when was your first interest in art kind of something that took over your life, or was kind of brought you to this point where you felt like, wow, I could picture myself doing this, professionally?
Yeah, it's something that's always been in my life since I was a child. I've always dabbled in arts. And yeah, when I was attending college or like applying to college, I was kind of like torn between art and science. Those were my two passions. So I was still kind of like undecided in those like early adulthood years. And yeah, I intended to get into science illustration. So once I like kind of had to decide what I was going to study and get into and pursue as a career, that's what I decided on. So I was able to combine both of my passions of science, environment, and art. And and then yeah, when I graduated, the art side kind of took over a little bit more. But I think I also had this like deciding moment maybe when I was like in high school. And studying, it was something that always came naturally to me, and I felt like it's something that I need to do something with, and use in my life, and I think that's such a blessing to be able to use your gifts to contribute to the betterment of the world. Yeah, so that was kind of my motivation for that because, I mean, honestly, sometimes I think like with all the things that I dabble in, like I have 100 hobbies. I'm like, I could have like really followed any of these pursuits as a career option. But yeah, art was something that always came kind of naturally to me. So I felt like I should make use of that talent and skill that I had.
Well, you're doing a great job. Did you have any art encouragement from your family growing up, or any inspiration in that regard?
Yeah, I did. The one thing that I am really grateful for is my parents. They never discouraged me from pursuing art, which is like another thing that I hear from a lot of people is they're pushed into something more practical as a job. But yeah, my family never discouraged me from pursuing that. And we do have a lot of art in our family too. Like my mom is an artist as well. She kind of works in spurts, but she has like really cool paintings that she does that are like very spiritual. And then my her mom, my grandmother, she was also a quilter. And then my other grandmother, she was a teacher and did a lot of like crafty stuff and like kind of like home economic stuff, like sewing and yeah, just making little things with her students.
That's rad. Let's talk about a little bit about your family. You were born in Russia, and that's a pretty huge transition. When did you move from Russia to the States, and where did you live before in Russia?
So yeah, I was born in Russia, in St. Petersburg. That's where my family has always been, as far as I know, just kind of in that area. And yeah, it was in 1995 when I was 5 years old that I moved to America. The year before that, my dad came over on his own to to work at a job that he got. And yeah, as far as I understand, like there were just better opportunities outside of Russia, like after the collapse of the government and all of that over there. I think a lot of people were kind of trying to leave to find better opportunities. So yeah, he found a job, and then a year later, he moved our family over. My mom and my brother and I and our dog. We all came over, and we moved to Philadelphia. So that's kind of where I spent my childhood until I was 18 years old and came to California.
Yeah. And so that's a big drastic change from Russia to America, but you were pretty young at that time, so it's probably a little bit foggy. How about from Philadelphia to California? Talk about that and what led you here to California in particular.
Yeah, well, honestly, it's kind of funny, I think, because I just really wanted to live by a beach, and I was always inspired by the ocean. In Philadelphia, we're pretty far away from the coast, but sometimes, a couple times in the summer, we would go to New Jersey and go by the ocean. And I also thought like surfing was the coolest thing ever, and that was just like one big bucket list item that I wanted to pursue in my life. So when I was applying to schools, I looked in Florida and California, and I'd been to Florida before. We've gone there for like family vacations, but I'd never been to California before. But yeah, I ended up deciding on California State University, Monterey Bay. That's where I attended. Yeah, and just kind of took that leap. The first day of college was my first time in California. And yeah, when I landed, I just instantly felt so inspired. Just the adventure of being somewhere new with like new sights, new smells, and being so close to the ocean. And yeah, just being able to kind of create my reality that I dreamed of. It was really exciting. And that's another aspect where my parents, my family was always really supportive. I feel like not everyone lets their child move like so far away to the other side of the country, but yeah, they fully supported that decision. And yeah, it was an easy transition because while growing up in Philadelphia, I never felt like I really loved it there. There was just a lot of busyness and concrete and stuff, and I've never really been like a city person. And we weren't in like the heart of the city. We were kind of on the outskirts, the semi-suburbs, but it was still really congested and I don't know, just not my place that I wanted to be. And even in my art, when I was studying in like high school and such, like I still found my inspiration from nature, but there just wasn't a lot of easy access to it besides like the one local park that stretched like a pretty far way. But But yeah, just coming out to California, I felt instantly inspired by everything around me.
And as far as like your style has evolved, would you say that you're drastically different as an artist, say, as to when you first started school, like to now?
Yeah, it's really cool to look back on my evolution. I think that's just one of the coolest things about having done it for so long. It's been like 11 years now since I went pro. and and yeah, I actually feel like I've kind of come full circle almost. Because when I was studying, my natural inclination was to just paint what I see. So kind of like photorealism, I guess. But yeah, I got like terrible grades in abstract art, which is kind of funny to me. How hard can it be, you know? But yeah, then over the years after I finished my university, I kind of explored different styles, and I found a lot of inspiration from other like modern artists that are doing like surf art and stuff, and using like line work and certain like stylistic touches. So I tried to kind of pick and choose things that I really liked aesthetically and incorporate it into my art. But I mean, looking back, a lot of times it felt like a little bit forced, like I was trying to like create something that wasn't like truly me. And yeah, so eventually I feel like I looped back to painting in a way that's more natural to me without a lot of the flourishes that I was trying to kind of force into my style. And I think, yeah, this latest collection of art that I've done, it's felt like truly me. Like a lot, each painting actually just flowed out so smoothly. And I think part of it is like the technical skill after so many hours of practicing and learning. I think that flowed into it, but yeah, also just kind of not trying to do anything, but just kind of letting the painting come alive as it comes out, I guess. I don't know, a little hard to explain.
No, that makes a lot of sense. And like historically, what artists are inspirational to you in your journey?
Like historical.
No, like
Or,
in your just, in your life, like, maybe when you started and maybe that's changed or just what artists inspire you basically.
yeah, I think like yeah, maybe one of my favorite like older artists is Van Gogh. His just yeah, his use of like kind of whimsical swirls and things like that. And then another artist I really loved is Colleen Wilcox. She's a Hawaii artist, but she had like these beautiful like flowy shapes and line work and kind of similar themes of ocean subjects. So that was another one I really admired, a contemporary artist. But yeah, otherwise, I mean, I feel like there's so many artists in our local area too, like too many to count and name too. And I think sometimes I'll just go on Pinterest and see like, I mean, there's access to like endless art inspiration in the world through the internet. So I think, yeah, there's just so much out there that I was inspired by and kind of like picked and choose like different, I don't know, kind of like illustrative styles and maybe a little bit stylized realism, I guess. So yeah, just a lot of artists to choose from for inspiration.
And so I know that you're really big into surfing. Can you explain to me how you got exposed to surfing? Do you remember the first person to take you out surfing or how that kind of eventuated for you?
Yeah, so like I said, growing up, I thought it was the coolest thing and something that I wanted to do. So yeah, at my college, they had, well, I think it was like my freshman year that they had like a kind of like a 1 day surfing, I don't know, clinic or something, just like an activity for the students to go out and do. So I signed up for that, and that was my first time surfing. And yeah, I remember catching my first wave, like in the whitewash. I don't remember if I stood up, but whichever one I stood up on, just the thrill of like riding that energy. And I was instantly hooked. And I remember, I don't remember the instructor's name, but yeah, he kind of pointed out like, you can like tell when someone's hooked and in it. And yeah, also like I remember my days in New Jersey, I would go boogie boarding and kind of had that same thrill. I remember the first time I kind of got like tumbled around in the white water, and I came back to my mom and was like, I just got tossed around and it was the best thing ever. So yeah, that's kind of like the energy that inspired me. And then I did end up taking like a semester course as well at the school got credit for surfing. That was pretty cool. So yeah, that's when I got into it a little bit more. And then I did a study abroad year in New Zealand. And at the school I was at there, they had a surf club. So that's kind of when I really got into it, like having a dedicated squad to go surfing with at these different spots, and all different levels too. So there were a lot of friends who, could kind of coach me and help me improve. And then, just having like the community, like the safety of going out together rather than trying to figure it out on my own. That was a really special time.
That must have been a pretty amazing experience to kind of hone your skills at surfing in a place, as breathtakingly beautiful as New Zealand. What are some of your memories about exploring through New Zealand, and what was that whole experience like for you?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, New Zealand, it was like one of the best years of my life. And after the adventure of coming to California, I felt like that was just another big leap to go, to the other side of the world and live there for a year, never having like been there or anything. But yeah, I had so many fun adventures. It was just like all so packed into this short amount of time. But the surfing adventures were really special. And then I timed it so that I had like a spring semester, a summer off, and then the fall semester. So I had like a couple of months just to explore during that summer break. And then I signed up for the willing workers on organic farms. So I went and stayed on
The what? The hubbity hoobity?
willing workers
Willing workers.
on organic farms.
Oh, okay.
Woof.
Woof. Sick.
Yeah, well, it's this program where farmers can set up and so they host volunteers. So in exchange for a room and board, I do a little bit of work for them.
Oh, okay.
And it's kind of like an alternative way to travel, so you can make your way around different countries and have a place to stay on a budget.
Cool. What kind of work did you get yourself into on that? That sounds pretty dope.
Oh, it was great. Yeah, I stayed on this one farm, like in the far north of New Zealand, and they grew avocados, cherimoyas, and garlic. And they were also like this really cool little surfing family. And they were building an eco house out of like tires and mud that they like harvested from, some local wilderness area. So that was just a really special time. It was only 2 weeks, but it was very impactful, and a lot of fun. And then I stayed on another like island off of like the northern area of New Zealand. And, I don't know, it was like raining a lot there. So it was kind of like a dreadful one a little bit. And then I house sat for this other place. And yeah, I don't remember too much about that. But then I had a friend from my university, and his family had a little farm as well. And so I stayed with them for about a month, and then I also got hired to work in the sheep shearing industry, sorting the wool from the shorn sheep. So I spent about a month doing that, which like upped my funds a little bit because I was pretty broke when I was down there too. So that kind of helped me survive through the rest of my time there. And yeah, also this family was so sweet and hosting me. And they were also in the middle of like a house rebuild. So we actually we went in with hammers and crowbars and like deconstructed their old house. Like we even had this moment where like the whole like side of the house was just like I just came down.
Nice.
And then,
That always feels good to kind of just beat the shit out of a structure and get some aggression out.
yeah, it was really a unique experience. Yeah, so that was my really fun summer there. And then I also did a lot of rock climbing. So surfing and rock climbing were my main activities that year. So I had a lot of good buddies that were into climbing, and then we did some different trips, like on the North and the South Island. And that was a cool way to experience the landscape, versus like the regular tourist route where you see the places that are like on the map, the things to see. Yeah, just seeing like different rock formations and these other like things that are a little off the road that you wouldn't normally get to experience.
Cool. Any Hobbit sightings?
No.
Dang.
No, that's the one place I didn't make it to was the Hobbiton.
Oh, cool. That sounds pretty fun. And where else has your, travels brought you in the world? Any other cool places? Anywhere that you went surfing?
Yeah, travel is one of those things that I love to pursue. And I kind of have a goal of visiting a new country every year. But for the most part, I feel like my funds limit me a little bit. But I've gotten to explore Central America a little bit. In South America, I went on a trip to Peru on my own and did some surfing down there in Juan Chaco, which became one of my favorite places in the world, and Mancora. And then I checked out Machu Picchu, which was really enchanting, the energy there. And then I also took a trip to Panama with a couple of friends. We hiked up this volcano, which was like a whole overnight ordeal from like we set out at 10 p.m. at night and hiked up through like these lightning storms to catch the sunrise, where you could see like both the Pacific and the Caribbean from the top of this mountain. And did a little bit of surfing over there too. And then we got to go to Nicaragua earlier this year, which was a nice treat. Last year, I also took a trip to Saladita, Mexico, to do some surfing there. Just like a little 5-day solo adventure. So lots of fun travels. And also, like, since I had my daughter, I'd love to take her to other countries, but those fees accumulate pretty quickly with the plane tickets and stuff. So we've done a lot of travel just around California, exploring like the national parks and camping different areas up and down the coast. Really fun to do that as well. There's a lot to see, not too far away as well.
Yeah. And so Athena, she is your daughter. She's 7 years old right now. Mm-hmm. And what's it been like being a mom? Like, I know that's got to be such a hard thing. You're a single mom, and that's got a lot of its own challenges. But what's been your experience? I know that you call her your mini me, so it's like you guys are super close. And what's that adventure and journey been like for you being a mom?
Mm-hmm. Well, it's the hardest thing I've ever done, and also probably the most rewarding thing as well. And yeah, I mean, she kind of came into my life unexpectedly, but I've embraced the journey, and yeah, it's interesting because I feel like when I imagined like the child I would have, like I kind of pictured her, and here she is in real life. And yeah, it's just, yeah, I mean, a lot of it is so hard. But yeah, we have a lot of fun, and it kind of gives me a little more purpose too in my life. Yeah, she kind of it's just such a life-changing thing, but I think the other thing looking back is that she kind of gave me that push to pursue art full time, because just before that happened, I was working at a kayak shop and just kind of starting out my art business, but I knew it was something that I wanted to do full time, but I was just taking like very baby steps. But yeah, having her and needing to provide and take care of her, it gave me that push to really buckle down and, make my art work for me so that I can have the freedom to spend a lot of time with her and make special memories as she's growing up in her younger years. And yeah, also, do that for myself, have work that I'm passionate about.
Yeah, is she expressing any interest in art herself?
Yeah, when I ask her what she wants to be when she grows up, she wants to be an artist and a mom. So just like me, which is very sweet. But yeah, we get to do some collaborations sometimes. I find ways to kind of like work together on canvases, whether it's starting a painting or when she was younger, I would take her little like abstract scribbles and then, overlay something onto them. So it's kind of cool to explore that. And then the summer, I did my first ever art camp for kids, which I'd been thinking about for a while because we have this whole summer off and I have a lot of time with her. And it just seemed like a natural thing to try. But I was also a little like, I don't know, just a little scared because I haven't done a lot of work with kids besides with my daughter. So yeah, that was really fun. And she was just all about it, all about creating art. And I feel like she's got like, I don't know, she's like understands the concepts for her age,
Yeah. Well, it's a lot of exposure, and it's hard not to soak up some of that knowledge when she's just around you, whether or not it's super apparent at this point. It's really, she's young, so.
Yeah. Yeah, I think the coolest thing has been watching her creativity evolve from like, the baby like little scribbles, this is a cat or a spider.
Yeah.
To like figurative stuff where they have like a head and arms. And now she'll just draw things on her own. And I'm like, how did you even learn to do that? And she's like, I just did.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And putting together like a kind of a schedule for the art thing, the art camp, was that something that you just kind of winged, or did you put much thought into that? It seemed like you guys were doing kind of a lot of fun, cool stuff.
Yeah, I mean, I put a lot of thought and preparation into like all of my offerings. Cause I often do classes for adults as well. So I try to, be prepared in what I'm teaching and, write out so yeah, I have like pages of notes of like project ideas and supplies I'll need and, like other games and activities we can do to fill up the rest of that time. So yeah, pretty, intentional about it.
Yeah, and you guys, at this time, you'd been you started fostering dogs, and you guys had like a litter of little puppies around. How was that? Was that cool to kind of break up some of the camp and play with the dogs?
Yeah, we had puppies and painting. That was very special. But yeah, it was a good addition. And we kind of like found this rhythm like with the puppy schedule. So like when the kids arrive, we have some puppy time. It's a good icebreaker, for the kids that might not know each other. And, maybe for the more shy children as well. It's a nice way to kind of settle into a space, I guess. Yeah, and then we would kind of work on our art projects and take little breaks along the way. I think, the attention spans too might kind of like drift here and there. So we would have like some puppy breaks. But yeah, they all enjoyed that aspect of it. It might have been better than like the art part actually.
Yeah.
But the art was a lot of fun and we made some cool projects too.
Yeah, puppies are always a big hit. I think that's a universal thing, especially if you're a little one too. It's just easy entertainment. And let's discuss a little bit about your like you were talking about your art offerings. So you do some paint nights. That's at Abbott Square. That's periodically, and then you also do some like watercolor painting classes. That's at Palace Arts too. When did you get into teaching other people how to embrace their artistic sides?
Yeah, that was like another thing that came when I was kind of transitioning to full-time art, as another way to kind of bring in income. So that was my main motivator, if I'm being honest,
Sure.
to support myself. But yeah, so it might have been like 7 years ago that I actually launched a Kickstarter to kind of help get all the supplies to start hosting classes and paint nights and things like that. And yeah, that was a big success. And, my first classes ever, I might have had like one or two or three people. Sometimes I just hosted them in my the place that I was living in at the time. I had like another little room that I was able to set up as a studio. And yeah, since then it's yeah, I mean, I've taught so many classes, and it has been like a really fulfilling thing to incorporate into what I do. Just sharing the joy of creating, and seeing people surprise themselves at their creative abilities. And yeah, I feel like I've found ways to like teach people effectively and also encourage them in embracing the creative process, because it doesn't always go like as planned. Like, it is a process into achieving the desired outcome. And yeah, just kind of embracing the journey. So yeah, it's been like 7 years of teaching people. And yeah, I do the acrylic paint and sips and watercolor classes too.
That's amazing. So I think it's a cool thing that I've been to a few of them, and they're really fun. I've always loved art myself, and I think that when you're not like a super experienced trained artist, sometimes it can be intimidating to just sit down and get all the ingredients to create a piece of art. And so I think that, one of the cool things about your paint nights is that you don't have to be, any skill level at all. You can just show up. You can have everything kind of put in front of you that you need, and you have somebody showing you, some basic kind of guidelines about what to do, and kind of set people on their own path. And that's probably kind of rewarding to see people embrace, just stepping out of their comfort zone and getting into art.
Yeah, I think the majority of the people that come attend my sessions are beginners or maybe just dabblers. And yeah, it's a really fun thing to do, like with friends. We'll have groups of friends come and create a painting, just as a night out or celebration or something like that. And yeah, also people that might want to like grow their creative skills a little bit more and are just doing it for themselves, or starting out on a new hobby. Yeah, things like that. So all kinds of different stories, but it's it's very special.
And when I feel like once you kind of start, then you might surprise yourself. And just, I think that with anything, it's just kind of taking that leap of faith and applying yourself. And yeah, you definitely can surprise yourself. And do you find yourself wanting to do more of that in the future, or is that just something that's just kind of taking on as it comes?
Yeah, I mean, it's something that I like to have like a couple of art sessions. Like, yeah, maybe like one or two classes a month is good. It's a great way to connect with people too. Which, as an artist, most of the time I'm kind of like isolated in my space working from home. So I don't have like a lot of that community aspect. So that's why I really enjoy doing the events and classes, because it gives me a chance to kind of get out in the world and, find meaning and connection through my art.
Yeah. And another thing that you're kind of making part of your artistic arsenal is wedding paintings and doing live events. How did you get into that? And can you kind of explain to the audience what that entails, and just the different types of live painting experiences that you offer?
Yeah, so that's like another one of my like businesses within my business is live wedding painting. So what I do is I go to weddings and other events and set up my easel, and I kind of have like two services that I offer. So I either do like a canvas painting of the scene, whether it's like the a wedding ceremony or reception or something like that. And then I also got into just like the last 2 years doing guest illustrations. So they're just like mini 5x7 portraits of the people at an event. And so the way I got into that, yeah, I didn't really like choose to do it for myself because I've never actually painted people very much. But I had a couple who had been following my art for a long time, and they were getting married, and they asked me if I would paint at their wedding because they loved my art and my style. And so I love to say yes to things, even though, I might not know exactly what I'm doing right away, but I'm like, I'll figure it out along the way. And so, yeah, their wedding was in the Santa Cruz Harbor. So I got to paint like the ocean, the lighthouse, things that I'm very used to, and then added the couple and their dog and some of the ceremony elements into the painting. And yeah, I think I just had like a page on my website for live painting as an offering. And it's become a very popular thing, especially in the wedding industry, to have live painters. It's been trending the last couple of years. So since that first one, I've just had people start reaching out to me to paint at their weddings. And it's kind of snowballed into like a pretty major part of what I do. So I think this month I maybe have like 4 or 5 weddings booked. And this is the season for it too, like the late summer, fall, getting into it. But yeah, it's been really fun. And I think that's another like unexpected thing about this journey is like all the adventures that my art takes me on that are maybe unexpected, just kind of going along with the flow. I ended up as a live wedding painter as well and get to go to like these cool venues and see different different rituals and celebrate all this love through capturing with my art. So yeah, it's pretty neat.
And one thing that I've kind of helped you out with before too is the live sketches, and that's pretty unreal. Like your ability to basically have a couple, stand in front of you. We take a picture, and then as they go on their way, you go out and you sketch them really quick and use watercolors. And just your ability to capture people's like essence and their profiles, and it's really uncanny. To me, it reminds me of like those like super stylized like fashion designers, like their sketches of like the clothing and stuff like that. And how is that something that you had to practice at? Like, how did you get so good at that? Because it's really amazing.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, it was something I practiced. Like I said, like I might have painted like a couple of portraits when I was studying, like in high school, college, but it never like really stuck with me. It's hard, like with people, because you notice all these like nuanced things, and just like one slight, like a slight line off or angle or something will make them not look like the person. So it's just like a very challenging subject, I think, compared to like a landscape. You could just do blobs for like trees or clouds and it looks like the place. But people are really challenging. But yeah, it's something that I learned, and I kind of went into it, I don't know, just trusting my skills. And basically, what I teach also in my classes is, the fundamental thing is just observation. So like, I just believe that I can capture anything as long as I'm looking at it and observing the subject. It doesn't matter what it is. I trust that I can capture it. Mm-hmm. But I did I kind of tried to like summon up what I learned in my like figure drawing classes back in the day, a decade ago. And yeah, I took some time at home to, sketch in my sketchbook and practice capturing people. So yeah, with enough practice, I got better at it and more confident.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. What are some of the things that you find that challenge you the most about capturing a person?
Yeah, I think it's just the faces, and because we're always looking at each other and seeing each other a certain way. It's just hard to like get all those like nuanced things exactly. And yeah, especially with like the sketches are a little simpler. Like I do look at like face structure and body shape and stuff like that and try to capture the person as they are. But yeah, with like the acrylic paintings that are a little more detailed, it is like I'm working on like a square inch of space to like make this person look like them. And sometimes I'll spend like an hour or two just kind of like finicking with like the shadows and the highlights to try to capture them. So it is like technically very challenging.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, one thing that I found that's just amazing with effective artists is how they can, especially even with some of like even the more abstract artists who capture like faces with just like the smallest lines or the bit of shadowing, how they're able to bring like a face out of 2 dimensions into 3. Is that something that just takes a lot of practice? Or I know that's just one of the toughest things is to capture the face. What do you think about that?
Yeah, I mean, I'm honestly amazed by that as well. Like I also see artists that they will just do like a couple of brush strokes and it's like this realistic figure. And yeah, I mean, I haven't like unlocked that power, I don't think. For me it's just like a lot of like effort to try to capture it. So yeah, I don't know. I think we all maybe have our own skills and inclinations, right? And maybe for some people it's easier to kind of capture subjects that way so swiftly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I bet a lot of it's just natural talent or certain dispositions about your artistic style that kind of can, lend to that being easier, or then just good old fashioned practice, I'm sure is a huge part of art. What are the types of things that are out of your comfort zone that you would like to see yourself grow as an artist to be able to capture more frequently or with, less hassle?
Yeah, I mean, I am enjoying the challenge of portraits. And yeah, also the live painting aspect of showing up at a site and not really, knowing what I'm going to paint before until I get there. That's very exciting. But I think also lately I've been exploring color and light a lot more. So how can I, really make things like glow in my paintings? Like like one of the pieces I completed was like the full moon rising with the pelican gliding through. And I just really wanted that moon to kind of like reflect the light. And yeah, also with other subjects, just the way, you can be in a place and the way the light hits certain subjects or glows. I think there are techniques to capture that through painting, mostly through the use of pigments and also like layering and stuff like that. So that's something I've been just kind of subtly exploring through every painting. And I think each piece I create, I learn something. I learned something from the process.
Yeah.
Tricks.
Speaking of the process, to me, I'm always interested in this with, creative types, whether it's music, like do the lyrics come before the chords or, and with art, I feel like, the process of do you work better with taking a photo and having a reference or, can you just make an imaginary scene? Is that something that you do ever, or do you mainly use reference photos for your art?
Yeah, I personally like to use reference photos, and yeah, just so I can kind of get lost in that meditative process of like capturing what I'm seeing, even if it's like a little bit altered, for the style. But yeah, I'm not one to be able to like summon something onto a piece of paper without any reference. And yeah, even sometimes like something I struggle with is I'll like I'll have this idea like, oh, like I want to go paint at the beach, like what an idyllic day that would be, to be painting outdoors. But I'll get there and it's still kind of like, well, I look around myself and I'm like, what should I capture? Like, I don't know, just that process. Like I do kind of have to settle on something that I see and something that sparks me. I think that's why I take a lot of photos where I go, because, you know, a lot of times I won't have my paints with me. And I don't intend to like go out and find something to draw, but I'll kind of like be going about my day or my adventures and have like a little spark of inspiration. So then I'll capture the photo and then I can take that back into the studio.
Yeah, that probably there's a sense of like, you know, by having the parameters of a snapshot, you say that's where I'm going to focus. So you can kind of hone your focus in like that. And I'm sure if you're just looking around, it's kind of like, for me, it'd be hard to, well, okay, I'm seeing around me in 360 degrees, but, you know, having that snapshot is probably a little easier to focus your attention on. Especially for me, I'm like ADD scatterbrain, so that's always an issue. But well, that's really interesting to hear about your process and your journey as a professional artist. Let's just talk about surfing a little bit more. What Santa Cruz is just really, you know, as most places in the world now, there's so many people out in the water, and you know, I know this just from my own experience that within that kind of you know, those restraints with people fighting over limited resources, it got to be tough to be, you know, a female surfer in a town like Santa Cruz where there's, you know, just so many good surfers, and you know, the people with the most aggression who are going to be a little bit more dominant just naturally are men. How do you deal with crowds, and you know, what's your approach to finding ways to maximize your fun in the water?
Yeah, you're right. It is really challenging. And I've had like a lot of instances of kind of, I mean, I'm not very like aggressive, right? But still, even if I'm in a lineup and I know what I'm doing and waiting for a wave, like, you know, the guys for the most part will kind of go in and snake waves or hog waves, stuff like that. So it's really challenging, but I think, I just kind of avoid the crowds, and it's kind of like an adventure in itself. Like, you know, I'll be, you know, here on the pleasure points side of town and, you know, try to think about like, okay, like what little like random wave is going to be breaking, like mediocre, not too big, no crowd. So I'll just kind of like seek out those little like in between spots, where I can be by myself or maybe just like a couple other people out. So then it's just like a lot less stressful, less dangerous feeling. And also, I love to venture like up the coast north of town, to those areas as well. But it's a little harder to get to because you've got to have the time to mission up there, and then you can't really know what you're getting into. Sometimes, you know, I'll drive up there and then just drive home if I'm not really inspired. But yeah, so I just kind of try to seek out those little random waves that I can have to myself.
And I know that you ride all kinds of different boards. Is that something that keeps surfing fun for you? And kind of, you know, it's probably a little challenge within each kind of day that you go surfing to pick, you know, what board you're going to ride. And are you generally like shortboarding or longboarding more, or?
Yeah, I do like to kind of keep it fresh and exciting, and I really do enjoy it all. You know, whether it's like a 2-foot longboarding day where I can kind of practice my cross step and try to get to the nose, right? And then also the challenge of shortboarding and, you know, working on my turns and stuff. And then I have a couple like kind of novel boards I've been using too, like a fish with like a quad setup, so it's kind of like speedy but floaty and fun. And then also like this mini nose rider that's also like super fast and exhilarating. So yeah, I've been enjoying like trying different boards out, and then yeah, just kind of depending on the conditions and what I'm feeling like that day. Yeah, that's how I'll choose which craft to ride. Yeah, the one thing I kind of stop at is like anything that's over like shoulder head high. I don't really go there. And I don't really do barrels either. I don't know if I ever will. It sounds scary and dangerous, but I like the easy, fun kind of stuff.
You've got a pretty sweet, like, backside pig dog style, though. Like, I think that if you were just to get your comfort level, you know, I feel like you're naturally, like, able to grab rail and get pretty compact and stuff. So, you know, if the nerves ever settle and, you know, you find yourself more comfortable, I think that would, you know, kind of translate into some sick pig dog tube riding.
Yeah, I don't know if I'm committed to the wipeouts is the thing.
Yeah. Well, that's okay. It's scary. Surfing, I mean, you're just completely out of control once you fall, and there's the reef is sharp, sand can be hard, and it's spooky, and you know, it's just one of those things that we find what feels good, and if it doesn't feel good, when you stop having fun, then, you know, there's not really, you know, much point in doing something. So you know, I think it's good to know your limitations. So we should all be so honest with ourselves, you know. And so let's just talk about, you know, branding. And as an artist, one thing that I think is really cool that you do, you've got your kind of, your brand is Follow the Sun. And you do like cards, and like you've made some apparel and stuff. And is there any type of like swag that you'd like to, you know, bring out in the future to kind of put on to show your art off on?
Yeah, I mean, I feel like I'm more focused on like the fine art aspect, and I've definitely like dabbled in the apparel, but yeah, it's also like, you know, I can only do so much on my own, so it feels like this whole other like business to run. So I did I got into like making block print hats, so I'm excited to restock those soon. So what I do is I carve out a little stamp and I print it on the hats, and so it's kind of like a unique handmade piece of wearable art. Those are super fun, and I think that might just be like the extent of my apparel offerings, just because sometimes I'll have like so many cool ideas, right? I had this other idea of doing like hand dyed garments with also like the block prints to decorate them. But yeah, really I can't like do it all.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You gotta
So many ideas, but
pick
I've
your
got to pick
lane.
and choose. Yeah.
Well, one thing that I think is really sweet that you did for me was you did a piece here of my dog and my cat surfing a wave, and you've also done another series of surfing animals. You want to talk about how you got started doing that? I mean, it's just super fun. And when did that start?
Yeah, that was a really fun series. And well, I love surfing and I love animals and wildlife especially. So, yeah, my intention was to kind of create like another collection, because and that might have been like my first like actual collection that I've done, because before I would just kind of like do an image here and there, whatever I chose. But it was a very intentional collection, and I kind of focused on like less common wildlife. Like there's a giant kangaroo rat and a wolverine. And like the foxes too, like the San Joaquin kit fox and Sierra Nevada red fox. So I kind of picked these species that are endangered and kind of local, so like endangered in California. Of course, there's like an axolotl from Mexico. So I kind of picked all these different unique animals that maybe aren't painted so often, and put them on surfboards on different kinds of waves, little waves, big waves, barrels, and whatnot. So yeah, it was just a really fun collection, and I love, when people stumble onto those at my art fairs, flipping through the prints, it makes everybody smile, and Yeah, it's just like such a fun, whimsical thing, but also a way to kind of highlight an important issue, wildlife conservation. And yeah, it's also like a fun avenue for custom work too, like your Lynx and Aussie on the surfboard. And I'm just about to start another commission of like a surfing pet portrait. So yeah, it's just really whimsical and fun.
Yeah, and speaking of, the endangered animal aspect and the conservation part, that's something that you hope to convey, like through portraying this natural beauty, is to remind everybody about how precious this, ecosystem that we inhabit with these animals and these coastlines. And is that something that, is still kind of a inspiration for you? I know that you want to just kind of encourage people to appreciate the things around them. And that was a
Yeah.
big part of your series, this last one, that you showed off at the Pacific Grove Art Center.
Yeah, you said it well. Yeah, I'm definitely inspired by sharing these places and animals that could use some protection. And yeah, I think I'm less like pushy about like environmental concerns, even though like in my own personal life, I try to make the choices that are easier on our environment and conscious about all those things. But yeah, I mean, I'm not like pushy in my messaging about these issues, these big important issues, but I do think it kind of flows alongside that, I guess, because I capture these beautiful places in the hope that other people are connected to these areas, like, oh, this, I have this special memory in this place, and in turn, with that inspiration, we are reminded about how special the nature around us is. And naturally, it's something that we should protect and maintain so the next generations can enjoy these spaces as well. And, just so our planet survives and all that.
Yeah. And so being a responsible consumer, I know that that's really important to you. What kind of choices do you try to make in your daily life in regards to being a responsible consumer in our planet?
Yeah, well, I try to be like pretty minimalist. All my clothes are secondhand pretty much, the majority of them. Or if I do buy something new, I'll try to, purchase from environmentally sound companies and brands. And then yeah, with like the food thing, I think that's the hardest thing because like literally everything is packaged in plastic. But I'll try to buy like the bulk ingredients and do a lot of cooking on my own. I don't eat out a lot. And try not to buy like so many packaged things. It's pretty tricky to balance, but yeah, I think just those like little habits can make an impact.
Definitely. And what are some of your favorite things to cook?
Oh, well, I like baking sourdough bread. So that's, very tasty. Loaves and bagels and cinnamon rolls and things like that. And then yeah, I'm into kind of like basic foods, like cooking up some vegetables and just, doing a little bit of like salt on it or something, just so you have the flavor of like the ingredient. Things with beans. I like to make fish sometimes with some veggies on the side. So actually like pretty simple with my cooking. But I feel like if you get the quality ingredients, it's very flavorful and
Yeah.
enjoyable.
And you were a vegetarian at one point, right? Is that still what brought you to that kind of decision about, food?
Yeah, I became a vegetarian when I was 12 and then stopped, I think, when I was, oh, I don't know, in my 20 maybe years old. Yeah, when I was in New Zealand, actually, I stopped being a vegetarian. But yeah, mostly it was like the animal welfare issues. And yeah, just kind of, being at that a younger age, and learning about the world and learning about how factory farms are, like in this country especially. I just made that choice to not eat meat, and that was kind of like the start of my environmental consciousness, and trying to live that lifestyle. And yeah, well, I stopped because my thinking was that if it kind of came from a wild place and was harvested in a sustainable way, there's not too much wrong, like in my mind, about consuming it, I guess. So yeah, when I was in New Zealand, the lifestyle there is to hunt and fish. So since I was surrounded by that, I had my first taste of fish and then meat. And so now it's still kind of like a minimal thing in my diet. Like I'll eat mostly vegetarian. But then when I do buy meat, I try to make sure it's, organic at least, and, sustainable ideally.
Yeah.
But I feel like it's so hard to tell in this climate and the industry, and how marketing works and everything. It's it's challenging, but I hope that overall, with like the little steps and more people becoming aware of these issues, the change is kind of slow, but I hope it'll improve things.
Yeah. Do you have any upcoming art projects that you're interested in getting started here now that this big show Beneath Pacific Skies at Pacific Grove Art Center is kind of coming to a close?
Yeah. Well, I think right now, after all that work, I'm kind of catching up on like all the admin stuff. So that's kind of like my near future. Is not too much painting besides like the live events I have scheduled. And doing like my shop updates and stuff like that, and getting ready for the holiday sales. But yeah, I do have like a couple of ideas for next collections. But I'm not sure what will pan out. I had an idea to do maybe just like some series of like oceanscapes, maybe. I know I saw one artist doing them with like gold foil, and I was like, that it was just like so enchanting.
Ooh.
So maybe like incorporating some other
Fancy.
mediums, perhaps. Yeah, more ocean stuff for sure. And then I had another idea to highlight like North American cats.
Oh.
Or owls or something. I don't know.
Cool.
Yeah, so maybe some wildlife paintings. But yeah, and then also capturing my travels too might be fun. Maybe doing some paintings from like the mountains, because every summer I go into like the Sierras and have a lot of reference photos from that too. So that would be really cool to get on like some bigger canvases as well.
Ooh, I have an idea.
What's your idea?
So we went to, we were in the Sierra foothills by the Yuba River this summer. We brought Athena and we checked out some like really badass swimming holes. So I think that, selfishly, we should do a swimming hole tour of California, and you could do a series of pieces on all the mesmerizingly beautiful swimming holes.
Well, I think that's a great idea. I'm into it.
Yeah. And we can dip in there. And that was really cool. That was so much fun going out there and exploring that with Athena, and just being able to kind of like, and there was no one around. We were basically by ourselves at these really just beautiful swimming holes. And so that was rad. And yeah, I just wanted to kind of just mention that you have a website and you have an Instagram page. You have all kinds of cool ways for people to connect with your art. Do you want to plug any of that stuff here?
Yeah, lots of ways to stay connected. My website is followthesunart.com. I also have an email newsletter that I send out with all my upcoming events and just little studio updates. So that's probably the best way to stay connected. And yeah, of course, I'm on social media as well, Instagram and Facebook and all of that. So yeah.
And you do have a YouTube channel as well.
I do, yeah. I don't know what's on there, but there might be some little tutorials on there.
Yeah, no, there's some good stuff on there. I've seen it for sure.
Paint along with Anna.
Yeah, super rad. So this has been really fun to chat with you, and I'm stoked. I learned a lot about you, and I'm sure the audience has as well. And so, yeah, I think that's going to wrap it up for us today. And I just want to remind everybody that this is a Santa Cruz Vibes podcast through the Santa Cruz Vibes Podcasting Network. Santa Cruz Vibes is a really cool magazine that I'm affiliated with. I'm the managing editor, and we put out cool articles on the website, scvibesmagazine.com, and we come out with a magazine periodically, so it's a quarterly magazine. So Anna's been featured in there as well. We like to feature cool artists and people doing awesome things. So yeah, I want to thank you again for coming on here. It's been a pleasure to chat with you, and we're just going to leave it there. So thank you everyone for tuning in, and we'll check you out next time.